Sing.
Pineapple.
Okay, I'm gonna work with that.
Yeah.
You better keep it in.
Yeah, we gotta put the sync in every time. It's gonna be a staple. Welcome to the podcast. Again.
Hello.
Hello.
We're all here. Anime. You guys been up to anything?
No.
Unfortunately. I watched a lot of anime this week, and I don't think I enjoyed a single episode of anything I watched.
Oh, how tragic.
Sadly, only a little bit of it was mecha. I watched a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Basically, I'm stuck working this really terrible job that I want out of, that every fiber of my being is screaming for me to get away from, but I can't get away from it until the end of the week. So, in this job, I have literally nothing to do, so I'm just sitting there watching episodes of anime in a really uncomfortable chair with one headphone in, and don't like it, not one bit. But the show I've been watching has been Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, and no, I do not like Yu-Gi-Oh! GX at all. I think it's the weakest Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. It has very little going on in it in terms of animation quality, and in terms of writing quality, and in terms of music, and in terms of visual design, and in terms of literally anything, and I think it is actually not good in any way. I'm sorry to all the fans of GX out there. I'm sorry. I can't do it. But I did watch another episode of Space Runaway Ideon.
And how was that?
It's still not good.
Oof. I thought you dropped that.
I put it on hold, but since I'm literally being held hostage at the moment, I figured I would buy the whole thing and put it on my laptop so that I could watch it. And it's still not good, and starting up episodes of it does still drain me, so we'll see if I finish it. I have the whole week to watch anime, so I might. But that's everything I've been watching.
Alright. How about you, Sayu? Anything?
I have watched nothing. I have done nothing but play Guilty Gear Strive for the past bunch of days.
Sayu,
That is all.
Dishonorable.
have you ever had an anime to share?
I did on episode
The first
2
time?
when I watched the first episode of Sugar Snow Fairy Princess, and it was boring.
Okay.
Alright, but I am back on the initial plan, which is to watch a lot of things all the time.
Yeah.
I've been watching... Well, actually, the first thing I watched, this is more of like an anime news thing. By the way, I'm going to talk about a little bit of anime news again. I want that to be like a staple, is like this week in anime news. But the first thing was a short, it was like 3 minutes long, called Irvan. It was a tech demo put out by Toei Animation to showcase AI-based background drawing, where you just take a photograph of something and then you throw it into a computer and it like spits out an anime background.
Nice.
And it looked fine. They looked like photographs. I mean, you can normally tell in anime when it's referenced from a photograph, which is like 90% of the time. Which is like why most anime takes place in just like real world locations, because it's like way easier to make a good looking background if you just trace over a photo.
Yeah.
But now you can just draw it. Now you can just draw over the photo. Like, you don't even need a background artist. Except it really does not look hand drawn at all. It just looks like a photo. I'll like throw something on screen. They put like a bunch of weird effects all over the screen to like hide the fact that the backgrounds just look like photos.
Yeah.
Do they?
It didn't look good.
Ooh.
For some reason,
Yeah.
though, I've been trying desperately to find YouTube channels that talk about anime news because I don't want to read, but I guess I have to because all of them are bad. The one that I found, I won't name them, mentioned this AI thing in like an episode they were doing about the ongoing controversy surrounding Studio Mappa and the fact that they don't pay their animators literally anything, which every studio does, by the way. Animators do not get paid even a little. They do it for free. And in the episode where they talked about all this ongoing stuff, they were like, "Oh, soon we won't even need animators because Toei just showcased a thing where they have AI doing the animation." And they had the article on screen, and they said that it was like an AI for doing in betweens, and like it could come up with new keyframes, and they were just making shit up. Like nowhere in the article did it say.
Oh.
Anything about doing animation. Like the article is like it does background photos and that's it, which is what it does.
Oh. This is not
So-
a good channel.
So there's no anime news people on YouTube. Nobody does anime news except for Neverworld, who mostly just talks about like new shonen stuff. But
Well-
I'm not into shonen stuff.
What about everyone's favorite anime YouTuber, Jeff Zhu of Mother's Basement?
He occasionally talks about news, and you know what? He doesn't do that bad of a job.
Wow, we're actually giving points to Jeff Thu of Mother's Basement. That's pretty sad.
But I'm talking
Our
about
podcast
I'm talking
has
about
fallen
like
pretty far.
dedicated. I'm talking about dedicated news channels, not like occasionally the anime YouTuber will talk about like one article because it pertains to their interests. But anyway,
Jeff Thu's
on to
interests.
real anime that I've been watching, actual anime that's good. I started Toradora.
Nice.
I'm up to, I think, like episode 9 of Toradora, and it's pretty nice. I have very little to say about Toradora because it's a rom-com. It's pretty, I mean, it's not like particularly unique for a rom-com. It's just like really good. It's just very funny and well animated, and Minorin is the best girl, and the main guy is stupid, as is per standard for rom-coms.
Of course.
And
Naturally.
now I have been watching Ashita no Joe, and I'm up to episode 17 of Ashita no Joe, and it's getting really good. I'm like actually really into it now.
That's good.
At first I was like, oh, this is kind of slow, and I didn't have very much to say about what was actually going on. But after he gets sent to jail, where did I leave off with talking about Ashita no Joe? He got sent to jail.
I don't know.
Okay, so I can just like sum up very basically what's going on is there's this guy, his name is Danpei. Danpei is an ex like boxing coach, and he like lives in like a little shack by a bridge with like a bunch of poor kids, and you know at the beginning of the show, Joe walks into town because he's a wanderer. He's like homeless and he just like beats people up. That's like all he does. And Danpei sees Joe's punch and he's like, "Oh, kono punchi." And he's like, now's my chance. I can get back into the boxing game. This dude's so good. But as becomes very apparent, Joe is like a fucking psychopath. Like, he's this really charming guy at first, and the more you're around him, the like more clear it becomes that he literally just does not respect anybody in this world, and the only thing he wants to do is like run around and beat people up. That's like literally all he does.
Oh.
And if anybody shows him respect at all, he's just like, "You're a fucking loser." Despite the fact that he maintains a relatively charming disposition the whole time. So as you can imagine, with such a character, he eventually lands himself in trouble with the authorities. He just beats up all the cops, and so eventually Danpei is like obsessively trying to get this guy into boxing, and he's just not having it. Like Joe shows absolutely no interest in following what Danpei is saying at all. But Danpei is like just bizarrely, single-mindedly like, oh, Joe's gonna be a boxer. He like Danpei's like a drunkard and he like doesn't do anything, but he like gets a job and he stops drinking. He like pulls his life together because he's like, I'm gonna get Joe into boxing, even though Joe at no point expresses literally any interest or respect towards like Danpei's wishes. And so Joe like steals like $1,000 or like $10,000 from this like rich woman by like scamming her into something. And the rich woman is like a really altruistic, like, oh, I'm gonna use my riches to benefit the less fortunate people. That was not a misspeak, by the way. She's very like condescending, but in a subtle way. And so after stealing all this money, Danpei is like, "You're a fucking rascal, Joe. I'm gonna show you what for." And that's when Joe gets like ultra punched in the face by the old guy. That's what that webm I sent you earlier is.
Oh yeah.
And that's the first time in the show where anybody lands a hit on Joe. And he's just like dead. And so after this, he gets sent into prison, and Joe's like, he gets sent into the cell. I don't know how prisons worked in like 1930s, 40s Japan or wherever. I think it's like late 40s Japan. I'm pretty sure it's post World War II. But the cell he goes into is like full of like 14 other guys. And they're just like, they just leave him in here like alone, like nobody's paying attention. And these other guys are like, hey, you know what we do with the newbies around here. And then they start like beating up Joe, and he's just like taking it, and he looks like he's like being tortured to death. But then like after they get done beating him up and they just like leave him in the corner, Joe just like gets up and he's like, you can't get me. And then he just like eviscerates all of them, just like absolutely beats up everybody. And so they come in and they see that Joe has just like absolutely destroyed everybody. They give him like a psychiatric test and he's like not taking it seriously at all. And so they're like, all right, Joe's going to the maximum security island prison. And so they send him there with like the big guy who was in charge of all the littler prisoners. And the big guy at first seemed like another like weird sociopath who's like super self-confident, can like never be taken down. But like while they're on the way to the max security prison, this guy has like a total character shift where now he's like a big baby. Like that's his character now, is that like he's like, oh no, Joe, you gotta stop acting confident. They're gonna kill us, Joe. Which is, I thought was weird. This show has a lot of like strange writing in it, and I can't tell if it's like, it's kind of like that JoJo thing where like you can't tell if the author is just like forgetting details and doesn't care about consistency, or if like
it's
that's
all
sort
intentional.
of part of the aesthetic they're going for.
Yeah.
Because everybody in this show, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, is that everybody in this show seems like a really, really simplistic character, where they're just, like, one-minded. But then there will be, like, a scene, which, like, you kind of, like, get a brief glimpse into, like, why they're that way, and then suddenly there's like a lot of depth to like everything in retrospect and what comes afterward. But like outside of those little scenes, like everything seems unbelievably like simple in the way that a lot of 60s anime were.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see this like with Joe, where like he's just kind of like he's like Sonic if Sonic just like didn't care about anybody. Like he's a super self-confident cool guy who just rolls with the punches. Except also like if Sonic was like Shadow and killed everybody all the time. And you assume like oh, he just is that way because that's his character. But then it's like revealed in the court case, they start talking about his history, and he's like it reveals so much about like how he got here and like why he has a disrespect for certain behaviors and stuff. And I wouldn't say that he's like a sympathetic villain as much as a villain that just makes sense. He's like the Joker.
Yeah.
The Joker, the only villain that makes sense.
Yeah. Except also he's the main character. So when they go to the max security prison, at this point, like, for some reason, in prison, Danpei is still, like, sending in letters with, like, instructions on how to punch good. He's, like... he's sending in these, like, number 1, number 2, number 3, like, instructions on, like, how to refine fighting techniques, despite the fact that every time Danpei actually gets to see Joe in prison, Joe's just like, I fucking hate you, you put me in prison, you fucking idiot, you bitch, I'll never speak to you again. But yet, Danpei continues...
This is how you punch good.
Yeah, but Danpei is insistent on teaching him how to punch good. And so he gets sent to the max security prison, and Danpei is just devastated by this. Yet he continues to send in letters. And so they go to the max security prison, and like, you know, he's still just a fucking rascal. He's like, at the rate he's going, Joe is never, ever getting out of prison. Because he just keeps beating people up until eventually, at some point, this big man, this big, strong, like, square, towering guy, forget what his name is, Rikishi, is an ex-boxer, and he's an ex-boxer who got sent to, like, max security prison because he was kind of known for being a sort of Tiger Mask sort of guy, where he would just absolutely go off on his opponents. Now, he didn't kill anybody until, at some point, one of the people in the audience was like, hey, you're a fucking loser, Rikishi. Your matches are rigged. I bet you're not even that good. I bet it's all fake. And he's just like... bitch, and like he like assaults this audience guy, and his punch is so tsuyoi that it almost kills him. It like instantly in one hit like hospitalizes this dude, and so like you're going to prison. But strangely, in prison, Rikishi seems like a really respectable guy. Like, even though he's known for basically, like, being able to kill somebody in one hit, like, all the prisoners are, like, scared of him. When he's, like, saying something, he's kind of respectful all the time. And, like, all of the staff at the prison just kind of, like... talk to him as if like he's never gonna do anything wrong, occasionally even asking him for help with things. Like at some point Joe just starts running around the prison and like one hit KOing like everybody. And they're like, Rikishi, get this guy for us please, we'll like reduce your sentence by like a week or something. And he's like, No, just let him go. Because he starts to really hate Joe. At some point, the rich girl is revealed to go to the max security prison every Sunday and put on like a play to like entertain the poor prisoners who have nothing in life. And Joe interrupts this play to like just absolutely do like a character deconstruction of this like rich girl where like he's like, this fucking play's a bunch of bullshit. You don't actually care about the well-being of any of these people. If you did, you wouldn't give such a fuck that I stole like $10,000 from you, because $10,000 is fucking nothing to you. You got a private jet, you got all this sorts of thing. Well, you got a private helicopter, and Joe's just like, you only help the unfortunate to make yourself fucking feel like you're something, because you're not actually helping anybody. You're not doing anything. You're just getting everybody to say that you're so great, you're so helpful, but nobody's actually being helped. That's you. That's you. And Joe just like kills her. And she gets so mad, except she doesn't actually get like outwardly mad, because she's like one of those like stoic characters. And Rikishi, I guess, has like a thing for this girl or whatever, and so he's like, Joe, you've gone too far now. I'm gonna fucking kill you. And Danpei is here for some reason, and Danpei takes his chance. He's like, hey guys, wait, instead of killing each other right now, what if you got in a boxing ring? And so we're on like episode 13 or something right now, and the first mention of Joe actually stepping into a boxing ring finally happens. And so they set it up on next Sunday in a week. You guys are gonna have a prison boxing match, and Danpei is like, in American prisons, people box all the time. That's what they do for fun. It's legal over there. And this just like convinces the prisoners, or not prisoners, the prison guards to be like, oh yeah, I guess they're doing it right in America. Just let the prisoners beat each other up in the boxing ring, and then they'll stop doing it during lunchtime.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with American prisons at all.
America, famous for its flawless prison system. Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was very funny. And so finally, the boxing match happens. And Rikishi is like, Rikishi and Joe are like having like boxing training competitions where like they're not actually facing each other, because both of them hate each other so much to the point of wanting to like murder another on sight. But Joe finally starts taking the training from Danpei seriously. He's like, Danpei, you gotta train me. And so Danpei teaches him the Kurasu counter. And stuff like that. The cross counter hospitalizes Joe until almost like the day before the boxing match. And so finally the boxing match happens, and it's like a whole episode. It's like the first real fight in the show, because Danpei and Rikishi are the only characters in the show so far which have like demonstrated the ability to actually like hit Joe. And when Joe has been hit by Rikishi, it did, like, hospitalize him for, like, a minute. Okay, this is actually really funny. Like, in the hospital room of the prison, like, the nurse office or whatever, the doctor is like, this guy's not actually injured. It's his pride which was hurt. And
oh
like,
my god.
That's why like he's like unconscious, is because he's like in like a PTS, like a constant multiple day long PTSD dream of just getting hit by not Danpei, Rikishi, like over and over again, where he's just like playing it back in his mind, and that's like all he can do. He's like, how did he hit me? And so eventually he gets up. He escapes from prison, but then he goes back because he's like, I gotta kill Rikishi. I can't just let go. And so they do this boxing match, and they do the epic cross counter thing where they're like, oh, like Rikishi almost kills Joe, and then Joe like does the cross counter and it kills both of them. And the prisoners were so moved by this. They were so moved by the unbelievably tense boxing match that, for the first time in their life, they start organizing rule sets with each other and appealing to social order, where they start setting up their own boxing tournaments and stuff. And that's like the theme of the show, or at least that episode, is that like, oh, the prisoners were finally shown something that inspired them. And these heathens, these top security prisoner heathens, finally formed social order in the form of a boxing tournament. And that's where it's left off. That's the show right now.
Am I correct in assuming that the show's message is that boxing is social order?
At least in that episode, that's what it appeared to be.
Okay.
This show's message is that the way to fix all of your problems in life is to box them out.
Yeah.
Give them a good old cross counter and kill both of you.
After this, Rikishi and Joe seem to like have a mutual respect for each other, where they're still like internally like, yeah, I do hate that guy. But when they see each other, they, like, smile, and they're like, we're gonna have a good boxing match next week, and stuff like that. Where, like, they've become the Batman and Joker.
The world's
where they
first rival
need each other.
characters.
They complete each other. Where they do hate each other, but at the same time, they love each other.
Are they like rival characters? Like the original Sasuke?
From what I've saw of the existing anime up until that point, there were very few, like, Sasuke and Naruto types of, like, duos. So this may be a first. However, I did not finish many of these other anime, so I probably missed one, if any existed.
Damn, that is unfortunate.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what I've seen, and now I'm getting through Ashita no Joe. It's gonna be great.
All right. Are we done with anime catch up now?
Probably. Now I want to take a minute to talk about some brief anime news. This is gonna be pretty short because I never have much to say about these, but I just want to start catching them up because I've been reading the anime news networks. I've been reading the Sakuga blogs. And there's many things that occasionally show up. Studio Trigger president Masahiko Otsuka says that the new short he's doing for the like Star Wars anthology thing, have you guys heard about that?
Yes.
Yeah, he says
No,
that it may very well be the last creative work he makes.
Huh.
Oh.
How sad for you to end your career on a Star Wars short.
on anything Star Wars.
I hate Star Wars.
No, it's just because he's like, he's been in the game pretty long, so it's not like there's anything wrong with the Star Wars short. In fact, from what it sounds like, I'm kind of looking forward to the Star Wars short because it's just like an all expenses paid for anthology of like a totally hands-off project. You would assume that Disney would be like really protective of their property, but according to all the people who are working on these Star Wars shorts, they say, yeah, Disney said we could do literally anything we want as long as it's not like rated R or like they could just do whatever they want. As long as it's in the Star Wars universe. And in the Star Wars universe doesn't mean, like, adhering to canon. It just means, like, there's Star Wars iconography in it.
Oh.
So, yeah, it's, like, just a totally all expenses paid collection of weird shorts. Just whatever they wanted. So, it'll probably have some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
The second one of 3 is Ufotable founder Hikaru Kondo Now, he does not currently work at the Ufotable anymore. He just founded it. I think he stopped working there, like, last year.
Huh.
Was currently indicted with evading 137 million yen in taxes.
Oh.
This is like the third time in the past, like, 4 years where I think, like, some founder of an old anime company has been found to have evaded all of their taxes. If you guys recall, a while back, this was much older, but what was that studio that made Evangelion? Gainax? Yeah. Gainax infamously just didn't pay any of their taxes at all from the founding of the company. Apparently because I guess the president just, like, didn't think he had to. Like he had never worked at a big company before and was just like, taxes, I bet it's not that important. And then, like, it like, landed him in jail or something.
Oh my god.
Gainax was really unprofessional.
Yeah.
They aired storyboards filled in with colored pencil.
Yeah. And now, this is the final one. New Happy Science movie. I'm so hyped. I'm really hyped for the Happy Science movie.
If you don't know, back in the day, KyoAni's first project was a short film for a cult in Japan that they have since tried their best to bury over time.
Yeah, if you look
and
at
now
the
we're
first
getting
thing,
a new one.
The first like thing that they totally produced in-house that wasn't a collaboration was a short film called Shiawase Nani, which means, like, what is happiness? And it's pretty innocent on the face of it. Like, if you actually watch it, I watched it. It's kind of just like this kid meets this angel, and the angel is like, if you think happy things, then you'll be happy. And if you think unhappy things, then you'll be unhappy. It's kind of like the law of attraction thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like a simple, like, you show this to a kid and they'll be like, yeah, I should be optimistic. Except if you look into the Happy Science organization, I'm going to read this directly from the ANN article. Happy Science has come under scrutiny for its practices and coercive recruitment tactics in the past. Though its political party, the Happiness Realization Party, the group has advocated, through its political party, the group has advocated for nuclear deterrence, which I guess isn't that bad, and has called for the amendment and removal of the pacifist Article 9 of Japan's constitution, basically saying they should form a military and, like, attack other countries. The group has repeated common Japanese right-wing rhetoric, such as the denial of the Nanking Massacre, the Imperial Japanese Army practice of taking comfort women, and the assertion of the Japanese state's de jure ownership of Senkaku Islands, which I'm pretty sure Japan does not actually own. It's like a colonist thing. Recently, the group has offered spiritual vaccines, which it claims can cure the new coronavirus disease.
Oh my god.
So this is a really good organization.
Yeah.
And apparently, they have a planned trilogy of movies, and this is the second one, where it's kind of like their Bible, but, like, in anime movie format.
Oh.
This is the second one in the trilogy. However, it's not actually a trilogy because there is a part 0. They're doing that thing that we do.
Oh.
Which premiered in 2016. The last one, the part 1, premiered in October 2018. And there's a new one which looks so good. It's called The Laws of the Universe. You should really watch the trailer. It's like bizarre cult, like, spirit science shit put to film, and I'm so here for it.
We might have to do some episodes on those when they're all
Yeah.
out.
I hope somebody has subbed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I actually
All
read.
right.
I think I actually read they are getting dubbed.
How?
I don't know. Yeah, it says right here, the film screened in North America with an English dub.
Why?
So they're going international, baby.
I can't wait to support this cult that wants Japan to get a military and take comfort wives.
And give me a spirit vaccine.
Do you think the spirit vaccine works better than the normal vaccine?
No.
Yes.
If I get
For
both of
sure.
them, will I be like super
In Minecraft.
immune?
If you get both of them, I think you just get COVID.
You become COVID. You, like, instantly spread, like, infect anybody who touches you with COVID. Though you yourself are immune to the disease.
Fine. Yo, I want that
Also-
superpower.
Also, any metal you come into contact with rusts instantly.
Yeah, and also becomes a 5G tower.
Yeah. And God forbid you touch any grass.
Don't
The
worry, I've
longer
never
you
done
stay
that in my
alive,
life.
the higher the global temperature rises. Okay, that's it for anime news.
Yeah, we're done. Anime news over.
Yeah.
Get your double vaccination soon.
Alright, now we're on to the main topic of this week's episode. Arcades.
Arcades.
You guys remember arcades? You remember the 90s?
I remember the 80s when I used to go to the arcade and I put the nickel in the Space Invaders.
You guys
Alright.
ever play Pong?
Alright, I got it. Alright. So, the Urban Dictionary definition of arcade. A coin-operated machine that usually is in restaurants, shopping malls, laundromats, movie theaters, college campuses, and other public places.
That's an arcade machine.
Yeah.
There's more. Alright.
Okay.
Arcade games started to get popular in the late 1970s and the early 1980s. Arcades such as Pong, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and Donkey Kong were popular. The arcade popularity was beginning to fade. This is like a fucking Wikipedia article.
How long is it?
It's like four paragraphs that are really long.
Okay.
Oh
alright.
my god!
We know what an arcade is. You go in the store.
Yeah.
It's got a bunch of beep boop things all over the place. It's like really loud. There's like a guy
Yeah.
who's always just jamming out on one of the like rhythm games, and like everybody's like,
Neat.
"Ah, damn, he's really good."
I've never
and
been to an
you
arcade
put the
with a
quarter
rhythm
in.
game.
You lose the quarter because you're really bad, and then you get like a little prize. They give you like a little stuffed animal.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
never been to an arcade with a rhythm game in it, and I wish I have because they seem cool, like all of them.
Well, I intend on going back to the one nearby that I will not say the name of, I don't know, in a couple months or so maybe I can take you.
I would be down. I would be down for an arcade trip because I like have never actually been to like a real arcade.
They're so cool. They're so fucking cool.
I do really want to go to arcades.
You see, the thing about the arcade is that, like, there's a lot of games in arcades that you would never play otherwise, right?
Yeah,
You've got
like
a lot of
especially
games
rhythm
around
games.
there.
They got like these weird special controllers with like the knobs
Uh-huh.
and like the big circle buttons and stuff.
Editor, quick, throw up a picture of, fucking, what's like a wacky one?
My,
Throw up,
I don't know.
yeah, throw up a picture of My.
Yeah.
The big-ass washing machine. Now make it spin.
Only like the gameplay though. Only make that part of it spin.
No, I'm not masking out the
No.
gameplay.
What do you
Even the
mean
editor
you?
isn't doing that.
The editor's name is I'm. They've had their
Oh.
professional name changed.
Oh, okay.
I see.
All right. Anyways,
I'm sorry, I
so
didn't mean to dead name
yeah.
them.
But here's the cool thing about arcades, right? Because arcades are capitalism, and capitalism is all about trying to attract the most people.
Yeah.
There is an arms race happening in arcades to have the dumbest control scheme possible.
And like the loudest
Like,
touch screens.
Yeah. Like, arcades are deafening to be in at all. And, like, I have played quite a few rhythm games in arcades, and let me tell you, Taiko, normal in comparison to some of the stuff I've played on.
Yeah.
There was this arcade machine I played on, I think its name was, like, Waka or something. I know I sent a picture of it somewhere. Its name was... Which one is that? Yeah, Waka, it looks like. It's like this ring, right? And the outside of the ring is a bunch of LEDs with, like, touch sensors. So, it's like a full ring that you put your hands inside of, and that's how you play the rhythm game. You just tap inside the ring, and you do the swiping motions, and you slide, and you push forward, and you pull back, and you do a bunch of crazy stuff. And, like, that was one of the more ridiculous ones I played on. And then there's My, the washing machine.
Yes.
That one was really good. Sound Vortex was also pretty fun. Editor, quick, put in an image of high-level Sound Vortex gameplay.
Right.
Because of that shit, I refused to play this at all. I was afraid of it. Still kind of am. But it's really fun, actually, believe it or not. But yeah... And that's, like, all the rhythm games I really played that come to mind. Oh, and Groove Coaster, of course. If you guys ever get the chance to, Groove Coaster is, like, one of the best arcade rhythm games. I highly recommend.
Yeah.
I'll try it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of simultaneously... This is gonna sound weird at first, but in a certain way, I hate arcades. Because the arcade came before the home video game. And, you know, the home video game is like when video games started becoming more experimental, you know, around the PlayStation era, once they've been around for a really long time. You know, you started getting all these, like, weird artso-fartso games, and, you know, I love those. Of course, I do love arcadey, skill-based games as well, but that is obviously purely what arcade games are, where, like, the point of an arcade game is to, like, you know, and this is going to sound extremely cynical, basically, like, manipulate the player into, like, dumping as much money into it as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the point.
Yeah.
They're the original gacha game, except instead of, like, getting, like, gambling addictions to the anime JPEGs, it's like, oh shit, I gotta get the high score, where, like, it capitalizes on your, need to compete with others.
Yeah.
Or, you know, yourself, or whatever. Just beat your own personal best, stuff like that. And so, I think, in terms of, like, video game design, you can trace, like, most video game design principles back to the arcade game video game design principles. Because that's where, like, video games really started, you know?
Yeah.
And... to this day, I feel like the vast majority of, like, mainstream games that aren't made by, like, weird indie people, or even a lot of those, without even realizing it, are kind of, like, designed in this way to, like, cheat a player out of more time investment, even though that's really not what a modern video game should be.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I agree with
controversial take. I expected this to be.
Oh.
I don't know. Here's the thing, right? Is, like, video games tend to, especially AAA ones, tend to not really care how much time you put into a game. They care about getting you to buy the game, and if they're going to sell you DLC, they care about getting you to buy that as soon as possible.
I disagree. I think the way that a lot of modern AAA games are kind of like people have this value associated with how much time you can get out of a game or
Yeah,
whatever.
That's true.
So
like Tom,
I
have you,
think
uh,
I think that like value judgment that people have for games came from essentially the way that older games would stretch out for time in the same way that an arcade game, this is where the design principle came from, would get you to like take longer to like actually be able to beat the game. And so
Yeah.
now like players associate time investment with like worth. Like, oh, I spent this much time on a game, that means it's good.
I mean, yeah, that is very stupid to do. I don't agree with doing that.
And
I
this
think it's
has
dumb.
slowly evolved into, at least in my perception, this has slowly evolved into like, oh, this RPG is like 1,000,000 hours long, and like
I
you
feel-
know you
I feel
you
like
get
the-
so much time out of video games. Like
I-
The Last of Us has all this crafting stuff in it because it's like you can do more with it and it takes longer. I don't know. I feel like modern AAA games waste your time on purpose to like draw out. How
I
long.
feel
Oh
like
no,
this-
that's true. That's definitely true. No, the reason why it's true, why it is that way, is because of that exact perception.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to pay $60 for a 10-hour game.
Yeah, but I believe that this value association with time and like how worth a game is essentially can be traced back to the design principles that games developed in their earliest stages in the arcades.
I guess that's true, but I don't necessarily think eliminating that is exactly the best way forward.
Well-
I think the best way forward is to just lower the price of video games.
True. I do believe that's
I feel like the difference between like how arcades do it and like how modern video games do it is that arcades are like a lot more based around like they extend your playtime through actually like being like a really big challenge that you have to like overcome. But like most modern
Yeah.
video games, like if you ever play like an Ubisoft game, they're just like I've 100% in Shadows of Mordor, which I don't think is Ubisoft
Ooh.
actually, but that was the most mindless experience of my life. It was literally just following the points on the map where they said collectibles were,
yeah.
and then just collecting those, and then doing like a little like puzzle gimmick, but like
Yeah.
it was like so. It was like so mindless, but it took so much time that I really could have been spending doing anything else. So I
Yeah.
feel like there's a real distinct. Like if that was just really hard, I would have been fine with it. But like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Obviously, so much time has passed, especially in the West, from like arcades being the main drivers of like game design principles, to the point where to make this argument is kind of weird and pointless. But I wish I could peer into an alternate universe where the home console came first in terms of mainstream adoption.
I mean, I doubt there would have been a universe like that. I mean, like, of course, there's a universe for everything, but like the
Likely.
way ours flowed, anyways. The fact that like you could have just like one or two for a whole town would have been much easier to
Yeah.
get people to adopt
That's
when
the thing.
computers were in their earliest stage. So
Yeah. Now, when I brought up this point, I said I simultaneously have a hate and a love for arcades.
Yeah.
Now we're going to turn it around. We're going to talk about the good aspects of arcades. First of all,
yeah,
arcade games are fun.
yeah.
they are really fun.
They
Here's-
optimize the fun, but I also love. Hold up, I'm sorry for interrupting you again, but
Yeah.
here's the thing that's really cool about arcades, is you already talked about this. The fact that an arcade game is like you just need to make this like one machine and like that's the arcade game and like people go there instead of like mass producing them for like home adoption. You can,
get really
create
creative.
games with these really bizarre things that you could not sell for a home console. Like
Editor, quick!
Yeah.
A picture of the initial D arcade machine.
I was just about
You know
to
the
mention
one-
the initial D arcade machine. I love the Japanese initial D arcade machines where you get in this big fucking car and like you're like as you're drifting around it like just spins all over the fucking place.
We can't sell this
It's
for
so
a home
good.
console yet.
Give VR a few years.
Well, that's the thing. I was also going to talk about VR. Arcades have not died out in to the extent that they have in the West yet in Japan, and
Yeah.
VR is so much more popular, like per capita, in Japan amongst the gamers, because people still go to arcades sometimes, and lots of arcades have like a VR section, or occasionally there's like a dedicated VR arcade in a lot of places, especially Tokyo. And these allow people to like go and they like spend like, you know, however much yen to like go and play a game of a VR game, and they're like, whoa, that was so cool. I wish I could do that at home. Except like you can't because nobody has space for it. And so I think right now VR games are in a bit of a strange place when it comes to design. I'm not going to make this the VR cast, but
Again.
a lot of VR games right now are not fun. No, I mean, there's plenty of fun VR games, but they're not fun in the same way that like your average
Arcade
Super
games?
Nintendo game was fun.
Yeah.
And that's because your Super Nintendo games have a lot of the roots of game design in arcades. Arcades were a perfect way to like optimize the game design like evolution process geared towards maximizing player engagement, having fun all the time.
yeah.
And VR games just aren't there. And right now, Japanese VR games, home console VR games, like PSVR stuff, it's so bad. They really suck. They're like way worse than Western games. I hate to say it. But I think that may change with the PSVR 2 because they've been going off in the arcades in Japan with these like VR booths. They're the VR market for like arcade VR games is growing exponentially in Japan. And that must tell me that the game designers over there have figured something out to make these VR games actually fun. Now, can they get people to buy it for home console, PSVR 2? I'm not sure. But that doesn't matter. I wish we had VR arcades over here.
Yeah.
Arcades and VR are a perfect mix. I think arcades are great because the technology that you can introduce in an arcade is way beyond the like adoption rate progress of like a home console market.
Am I the only one here who's actually like been to like a full arcade?
Probably.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've only been.
Huh.
There was an arcade in my childhood that was like in the corner of like some like shitty pizza place.
Yeah, I know the exact one you're thinking of.
Yeah, no, but
The like shitty like pizza place corner arcades are not real arcades.
that's
No.
my only experience with arcades.
Because
Yeah.
I've been to those.
No, the full arcade experience is very interesting. They don't tend to have a lot of, like, the thing about arcades is a lot of arcade games are not things that you just sit down and play through from start to finish. They're all very segmented experiences that are designed for, like a little bit of play at a time, you know? Like, Project Diva only lets you do 2 songs before making you pay again.
Yeah. Though it does keep a... That's the thing about Japanese arcades, is there's more systems for, like, progression systems with, like, the cards and, like, the phone logins.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have access to any of those.
Yeah.
They just have, like, guest mode turned on and everything's unlocked, so, you know, I'm good. Although you can't change costumes, which is sad.
Sad.
Anyways, so... like, I don't know. The thing about arcades is that, like, you typically don't leave empty-handed.
Yeah.
A lot of the games you play can earn you tangible, like, real-life rewards,
Yeah.
you know? Which is really cool. So I had a little experience.
Yeah.
So I bought... So at the arcade we went to, you have a card. And you pay for points that you put on that card that you spend to play games, right? And I bought $150 worth of stuff to put on the card. And by the time everyone else was ready to leave, I still had, like, oh god, like 600 points on this card. And for context, one round of Project Diva was about 6. And when we were on our way out, there was a line, like literally an entire section of UFO catchers. And me and my friends were like, let's hit up the UFO catchers with some of these points. And so we just started going after them, one after another, winning stuffed toys, a ton of them. I got, here, wait, let me count again. One,
Damn, you can actually
two,
catch
three,
things in
four,
those?
5.
Yeah.
I won 5 stuffed animals and a figure. However,
Nice.
that figure was interesting because we were all throwing points at it. So they had it on this like little. They had 4 of them on this like conveyor belt game where like
Yeah.
you had to stop the roulette, and depending on where you stopped the roulette, it would move one of the conveyor belts forward. And we got all of them really close to the edge, so we just kept playing until we earned all 5 of them.
Yeah.
And that's how everyone in my group walked away with with a figure. So. But all of the other ones we did, it was just a bunch of big catchers, and it was an interesting experience, all right.
You know
I
how
got a
like
lot of 'em.
most arcades have like that one machine where it's just like it just has a bunch of prizes in it, and like one of the prizes will always be like something that's like pretty expensive, like a PS Vita or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, like, what is the actual likelihood of like getting the big expensive prize, the tech piece prize? I've always wondered,
actually-
would it be like would it be a financially viable option to like if you
No.
wanted to buy a PS Vita to go in with like $100 and like keep playing it over and over again until you get it?
No. So here's the thing, right? A lot of these things are both skill-based, and the machine decides whether or not to pay out at the same time. So you need to be good at the game, and people have to have played it enough for the machine to decide to allow you to do it. If you watch someone, like if you film someone, you know Stacker, that one. That's
Yeah.
like the most famous one. If you film someone playing Stacker, and you watch the response time from the machine, for them hitting the button to stop, and the block actually stopping, if you do that, you can actually visibly see a difference in the response time from the machine that will cause a game over.
Huh.
So, okay, but like, what is the likelihood of it actually deciding to let you win?
I don't think anybody knows that.
Damn. I mean, somebody's gotta know. Those things are old.
Yeah, John M. Stacker, the creator of Stacker, he's the one who knows.
Is his name actually
Uh,
John M. Stacker?
No. I don't know who
Well, you don't,
invented
you don't
Stacker.
know that.
You're right, it could be John M. Stacker. You know what? We're giving him lore now. He
Right.
was actually named that, and he was teased as a child. Everyone was like, "You gonna go stack something, John? You gonna go stack something?" And he was like, "I'll show them. I'll show them all. I'll make them want to stack." And then he made the machine, and he made it unwinnable.
So that they're stacking without a purpose.
And that's the story of John M. Stacker. It's a tragedy, really.
Deep lore. Oh, we're already getting our own characters.
Yeah. I expect John M. Stacker fan art by tomorrow.
It's gonna be on the wiki. We're not making a wiki. I'm not doing that.
No.
Until later.
You do that, what was our fan's name? Fuck.
Robert?
We got Robert.
Robert Anderson, I think, or something like that.
Yeah. Shout out to Robert.
Yep.
I'm naming all of our fans Roberts from now on.
Yeah.
Does anyone have more to say on the topic of arcades?
I was gonna
I'm
say
certain
something.
I do.
I was gonna say something. Shoot. I forgot.
Well, that's the end of the episode
No. No, it's not. I demand that it is not.
If we have more to say, we can cut out the blank spot of us sitting here and trying to remember what we were gonna say.
then. Yeah.
There is I want to do a little spotlight. We can talk about cool arcade machines we've seen
Yeah.
and like played on and stuff. I haven't played on this one, but I've seen it online and I've always wanted to play it. Believe it or not, there is a Yu-Gi-Oh arcade machine. And winning in the game gets the game to give you a real life card out of the machine. And it can be something as common as dirt and terrible, or it can be a, like, $400 card. You just never know. There are some cards that drop from that arcade machine that are literally selling for, like, $150.
Cool.
It's, like, insane. But the machine was, like, neat, I guess. I don't know a whole lot about it because I've never actually seen one in person. It was called Dual Terminal, that was it. And it's, like, really cool, and, like, all of the decks in it have, like lore to them.
Yeah.
Every card in it has, like, a piece in, like, a big lore dump thing that they did.
Yeah.
It's like, okay lore. It was obviously their first time trying to give cards lore, but, they definitely got better as they went.
You know what? I've always wanted to play? I've wanted to play the... now I can't play it. I know they're all gone now. But the Half-Life 2 arcade game in Japan.
What?
The what?
If you never heard of the Half-Life 2 arcade game?
No.
No.
Okay, so in, 2005 or whatever, Valve allowed a third-party Japanese company to get, access to the source developer repositories to develop an arcade version of Half-Life 2.
Oh my fucking god, it was made in Source?
Yeah, it is Half-Life 2. It's the engine of the game. It's kind of like running a Half-Life 2 deathmatch sort of thing, where there's two game modes. There's, a battle game mode, where, all the arcade machines can, link together, and you're basically playing, a Half-Life 2 deathmatch.
And all of you get, balloons over your head, and you throw shells at each other.
There are, weird game modes in it. And there's also a story mode, where it segments different chapters of the game into, individual... segmented off missions with, a short cutscene in between, in a similar way to, the missions in, a Time Crisis or something. But instead of a rail shooter, it's running, the Half-Life 2 engine. And it has, really bizarre, strange UI just plastered all over the fucking screen. Japanese people love it when 90% of the screen is UI. And... there's, just all these, weird, mission indicators, and there's, unique weapons and, unique enemies that weren't in the original Half-Life 2. I think somebody got their hands on, an arcade machine and has actually ported this to PC now. You can play it on PC. But I wanna sit in the, racing chair arcade machine.
Yeah.
I wanna play it in an arcade, with, 4 other people in the deathmatch game mode.
Yeah. Here's the thing. A lot of people, if you have never been to an arcade, you might not, realize this, but the arcade experience for a game is very important.
Yeah.
If you just download the ROM for the game and you plop it into MAME and you you just throw it into your computer and you set up a controller and you play it, that is not as good of an experience as actually doing it at the arcade.
Yeah.
Obviously,
especially for things like, DDR, where it's there's a massive physical difference between pressing the arrow keys and, dancing.
Yeah.
But something
there,
akin to that does exist for like every arcade machine.
yeah. Like, even if you get, like, an exact... Like, if you buy the fucking arcade machine and, like, drag it home, you know? Even if you do that, it's not the same experience.
I mean, it's like playing Smash Online versus, like, couch multiplayer Smash.
Exactly. Yeah, it's technically the same thing, except with worse servers. Thank you, Nintendo. But it's not, it's not, like, the same thing.
Yeah.
You're not getting the same experience out of it.
You're not
which is
gonna
why I think
have the same fun.
Yeah, which is why I think arcades should be treasured forever. It should actually be illegal for every arcade on the planet to, like, shut down.
Until we have VR good enough to be able to, like, accurately track your whole body and, like, put a virtual controller in your hand.
Yeah. Now, shout out to an arcade game. I really want to play the Japanese Gundam arcade game. I believe it's,
All of these are going to be Japanese that we're listing off.
Well, yeah, of course. They're the only people who make arcade games.
Yeah.
It's called the Gundam Pod. They put you in the pod. You are the pilot now.
I'm Gundam.
Alright,
you are Gundam.
This is a bit of an obvious one, but the one I want to play is Productiva Arcade.
Yeah, well,
honestly,
they got that one in the arcade that Tom talked about a minute ago. We should all go down and, like, fight each other on the real arcade machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except, obviously, Tom wins.
I would win.
Alright, we gotta play.
They do have 5 of them, though.
Do they got fighting games there? Do they got, like, Street Fighter?
Yes, they do.
Holy shit. Alright, we gotta play each other at that, then, too.
When I was there, I was checking out the different machines. They had 4 Blaze Blue cross tag battles.
Nice.
So, they also had 4 Mario Karts. So that's cool.
Oh, damn.
Give me a bit to financially recover from doing it this time. You know,
and
maybe sometime in, like, September.
After we've got our, like, living situations and jobs and everything in order.
Yeah. You're gonna want to bring about $100 at least.
That's all.
Depending on what you want.
Don't these things cost fucking quarters?
That lets you play. No.
What?
No, you bring $100 and you put it on, like, the little card they give you.
Can you extract the money you didn't use?
No, but they leave it on the card for up to a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's cool.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I
wish I could shout them out, but it would dox me.
I mean, I don't know. I've put the general area of where I live online. As long as somebody doesn't know your home address, or, like, the block you live on, it's, like, fine in my opinion.
But then they could, like, find it easier. I don't know.
True.
Oh god, I forgot. We were gonna dox Sayu at episode 0, and we never did. Sayu's home address is... Okay, now that everyone knows where Sayu lives...
No, don't do that.
Are there any other cool arcade machines that anyone knows about?
I want to play the fucking Dragon Ball VR arcade game. Have you guys seen that?
No.
I don't think it's particularly widespread in Japanese VR arcades because it's less of a game than it is just, like, a weird little experience. But they, hook you up to a full body, like, tracking setup where, like, they have Vive trackers on your hands and shit. And you gotta, like, do the stances that, like, Goku does to, like, make the Kamehameha and stuff like that.
Oh.
The Kamehameha wave. And I think you even get to do, like, a fusion dance and, like, weird shit like that. It's fun.
That's pretty cool.
I actually have an American one. I have one that's not, or I'm not sure if it's American, but there are ones in America. I don't know who the developers are, but have you guys heard about the Far Cry 3 VR?
What?
All of mine are VR games.
Of course.
It's difficult to call it an arcade game. I'm sure you could integrate it into an arcade if you wanted to. But it's really just a dedicated building where there's this big like gymnasium sized room, and you get a group of like 6 other people to play with, and they all put you in this room, and it's a local multiplayer room scale VR experience where you're like playing levels in the Far Cry 3 world. With like these other people, and it's a co-op game, and they like transform the room that you're standing in to be like an area where like you stand in like this big like moving like trolley thing. What's that thing called where it's like a big thing you sit in and it goes on a rail, but like not a rail to like take you somewhere. I don't know, just like a big
roller
lift.
coaster?
No, it's like a slow moving pad where it's just whatever, it doesn't matter. They put you on this big like moving platform, and it's like going by different areas, and like all of you got to like shoot out different windows to like kill the enemies and stuff. And then there's another one where you're like exploring through like a cave, and there's like another one where you're like in a base, and everybody's running around the whole room, and you can see each other, and you all have like your hands tracked so you can see each other's like guns. You can like throw guns between each other and like catch them. It's really fucking bizarre. It's really cool. Everybody's hiding behind different places and like coordinating. It would be the coolest thing ever, except there's only like 2 of these in the country, and they're nowhere close to us.
Aw, that's lame. Aw, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and there's no way that you could ever replicate this at home. There's like just not a way to do it.
Oof. Yeah. There needs to be
All
more
right.
like VR, like kind of like theme park-esque
Yeah,
like things. That
like
seems
a full,
like super cool.
like get a whole building for VR arcade games.
Yeah, that. Yeah. One arcade game I really want to play in an arcade is House of the Dead 4. It seems.
Yeah.
Oh, I played that one. I've played that one actually.
I've played that one on the
exactly-
Wii, but I haven't played that one in an arcade.
Oh, you played it on the PS3 with me.
Oh.
I know that much.
Oh, wait, I
yeah.
finished one was on
Yeah.
the Wii.
No, we played 2 and 3 on the Wii, which I do
that's
still
right.
own.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never finished either of them.
yeah.
Anyways, no, House of the Dead 4 is like so fucking cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I played it with my friend Kaylin, and we both had a really, really good time while we were playing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like cool. You fire the gun shakes, makes a lot of noise.
Yeah.
The zombies are loud and scary. You shake the gun to reload.
The guy had the funny voice acting. He says, "I've been waiting for you, friend."
Didn't you like almost like solo the final boss?
Yeah, no, I remember. I remember that. Like he like died at some point, and you'd basically give it up.
Yeah, and then you were like pushing through.
I thought I'd do it, but I didn't. I died like right at the end.
Yeah, that boss fight is really cool.
Yeah.
I remember the arcade machine. Like looks really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. Editor, quick, put up an image of the House of the Dead 4 arcade machine. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna Google this because I haven't actually seen it.
I also
Yeah.
probably made this clear earlier. I really want to play any fighting game at an arcade. I've never played one before there, and I feel like all
That one's wacky.
all the pros who I look up to on fighting games have all been playing them since the arcades were like the way to play fighting games. So,
You guys know about F-Zero AX?
Yes, they're really rare.
Yeah.
But I do know of
never
them.
heard of it.
F-Zero AX is just... There was like this arcade line where it's just a GameCube in an arcade box. And so F-Zero AX just like runs on arcade hardware, or it runs on GameCube hardware. The thing is, F-Zero AX and F-Zero GX are the same game. Like all of the F-Zero AX maps are on the GameCube disc. And there's like an action replay code you can do to like get the AX maps in the map browser of F-Zero GX. It's just an F-Zero GX arcade game, and it looks really fun. but you can play it at home if you have the Action Replay code. Because it's just on the GameCube disc.
Editor, put the Action Replay code on screen.
Oh, that's gonna be so long. Scroll it if you have
Yeah,
to.
we can do it. But I always thought that was funny.
What are the other arcade games that they did like that?
I think there was a Mario Kart one, though obviously I think F-Zero AX was the only one which was like literally the same game as its home equivalent. But they've been making Mario Kart arcade games forever.
How can we do an entire episode of arcade games without talking about Crazy Taxi?
I don't know.
I don't
Crazy
know, like
Taxi.
every
Actually
played
game
Crazy
or
Taxi.
whatever.
Crazy Taxi is one of the coolest arcade games ever.
Crazy Taxi.
Have either of you, do both of you know what it is?
I
Yes.
have heard of it.
Of course.
Sayu, do you know what the gameplay of Crazy Taxi is like?
I actually don't like at all.
Okay,
Is
so
it
around
you're in a taxi?
Yeah. You get in the taxi, you're the taxi driver, right?
Yeah.
And you stop by people and they get in, they tell you where they want you to go, and then you just go there. The game actually like rewards you for doing stupid shit on your way, like driving
Yeah.
on the wrong side of the road and weaving through cars and like going off like the fucking like highway things as like ramps and like flying through the air off of them and like taking shortcuts through parks and like doing like literally fucking like the most insane shit all the time, and the game is just throwing points at you for doing that. And it is one of the most fun arcade games I have ever played, and I
It's
wish
like
that there were more of
unbelievably
them around.
hyperactive too in like its presentation and stuff.
Yeah. It's got like a really like cool like 90s butt rock soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a really good time.
Yeah.
You know what I would love to see? Have I told you guys about Horizon Vanguard?
No.
Horizon Vanguard is a mix between like a vertical screen bullet hell game and a light gun game
Yes.
at the same time, where you play as like the little thing in the bullet hell, but there's also the third dimension of like on the top screen, or if you're in VR, the rest of the world, because it's both a flat screen and a VR game. It works much better in VR, but personally, I think the perfect format for this game would be an arcade cabinet with two screens, where you're on the bike and shit. I wish you could play this game in an arcade cabinet, like with the bike and two screens, where like there's the screen with the enemies floating around where you gotta like do the light gun like rail shooter thing, and then you also have like the bullet hell screen, and you gotta kind of like look between these things while you like control the game with your left hand and you aim with your right hand. It's so fun, and it's unbelievably difficult, but I should like really like Tom, you gotta come over to my house and you gotta play this game, because it's like the most fun arcade game experience ever.
Yeah.
I will definitely consider it.
It was born for arcades, and yet it is not actually in any of them.
Damn.
We gotta talk about the best arcade game of all time, Mushihime-sama Futari version 1.2 Black Label Edition.
That's like a bullet hell, isn't it?
Yeah. That's the bullet hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's seen this game, even if you didn't know what it was
this
like
was
called.
this the one that was on Xbox? Like you showed
Yes,
me
that is how I
Xbox
own it.
copy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I own it, and this game's final boss is as hard as everyone says it is. So, you know.
I've never played a bullet hell game that wasn't Toho, and I won't until I beat all the Tohos.
Oh, good luck with that.
It
There's like 15 of them now or something?
yeah. I probably
I
will.
do think we're on
before I
Toho
beat all the
15.
Tohos. Yeah.
Is there a Toho arcade?
Okay.
We got
I
arcade
think
don't
cabinets for
know.
I
Toho.
think it's just like a PC exclusive. Like there might be like arcade spin-offs, but
That you can make custom arcade cabinets of it, and people
but that's
say the
not
game
real.
works really well like that.
yeah.
But no, there is no official Toho arcade.
Yeah.
Y'all,
However, when looking for Toho arcade, for some reason this image came up.
y'all think it's wild that that we got the Western indie representation in
Oh, yeah,
Smash
this-
before
this
we got
was
the
this was the
Japanese
Half-Life
indie
2 one.
representation?
Wait, you were both talking at the same time.
You were talking about how there's Smash Bros. Indie representation for West, but not Japan.
Yeah. Basically, what I'm saying
I can
is
speak and
Ray Moose
listen
and
at the same
Smash
time.
Next.
Yeah, but the viewers can't.
Fun fact: when multiple people are talking, you don't get multiple times the information. You get none of it.
All right, Nyuu, what were you gonna say?
I was just talking about how this is the Half-Life 2 arcade game.
Oh yeah,
Forgot what it was called.
editor,
What's
quick,
that
put this
say?
image in.
This is like so blurry.
Did
Oh,
anyone
yeah, I
in
forgot.
Japan
You
even...
control this like with a weird like joystick thing, like the flight stick.
Oh, did anyone in Japan even buy Half-Life 2?
No.
They played it on their Xbox 360. That they also didn't buy.
Oh, yeah, it was also like console exclusive to Xbox, wasn't it?
Wait, Half-Life 2? What?
Well, like when Half-Life 2 came out, it was only on the original Xbox. Because remember, Half-Life 2 predates
Yes.
the 360 and stuff.
Wait.
It came out in 2004.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean like it was on PC and only on that console?
Yeah.
I
When I
see.
say console exclusive, that means if you're only a console gamer, it's exclusive to that one.
I see. When I think console exclusive, I mean like exclusive to console and not even on PC.
No. No, but Half-Life 2... yeah, I know that a lot of people, at least these days, are not a big fan of the visuals of Half-Life 2, but graphically, game looks damn good for 2004.
Game's still boring. Lamau.
Yeah. I want to play the arcade version so bad.
What's
What was,
like?
what was another weird arcade? There was
what's-
one I was thinking of that I can't remember.
What's like the difference between like Half-Life 2 in the arcades and otherwise?
Well, I explained it. Like, the game it has weird weapons that aren't in the normal game, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
segmented in a really bizarre way, where, like, it's divided into, like, individual levels with, like, goals and, like, missions and stuff. And there's, like, NPCs that aren't normally in the game, and I think a few levels have had their, like, whole design changed.
I see.
Yeah.
And there's, like, UI plastered all over the screen.
Well, that was a good discussion.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's it. I think that's it for arcades. I'll try to remember
Yeah.
what I wanted to say. later.
Arcades are over.
Yeah, we've ended them.
All right, now let's go. All right, let's check it out. Comments. Do we got any? Comments.
Did
Oh yeah, did we ever respond to the big Robert Sonic history comment on the podcast?
The what?
the one that you responded Robert lore to?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't.
Yeah, we don't have to read the whole thing here.
Yes,
but
we did.
I thought that
Yes,
was
we
a
did.
really. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was a good comment.
We
But-
put it. We
yeah,
put
it
it
was a-
on
it was a
screen
good comment.
for the future. So
Oh, we
He
got
has-
a
he
new
has-
subscriber.
what?
Oh,
They haven't
sick.
commented.
Hello, new
New
subscriber.
subscriber.
Comment.
Oh, what's their name?
You are now.
I'm calling you
You're
out.
required to comment.
Andrei MacHutkin. Comment something. I demand it.
Now, I'm calling you out, and anyone else who subscribes with their subscriptions at public.
Okay. We have responded to all the comments. I remember responding to
Yeah.
the Pokemon comment. Now, do we have any voicemails? It's not loading.
Oh fuck.
SpeakPipe not loading. Okay, no voicemails.
Fuck, I told someone to submit a voicemail, and they didn't. I'm gonna yell at him.
Josh, I know you're listening. Send a voicemail.
Jacob, I know you're listening too. Send a voicemail. You complained that we didn't cover something in an episode, and then you didn't submit a voicemail.
Tell me that.
I'm not gonna do your work for you.
You're allowed to leave a negative comment if you send it in voicemail form.
Yeah, that's actually the only way we will take constructive criticism.
You can even give deconstructive criticism.
We'll
Yeah.
actually not take constructive criticism this way. We'll only take the bad criticism.
Yeah.
Destructive criticism.
Yeah.
Voicemails can be about literally anything. They can be responding to the show. They could be like adding in your own points to something we said. They can be absolute non sequiturs or like introducing a new topic that we'd normally not talk about. They could be anything. You just got a funny joke, just send it in.
Yeah. I like knock-knock jokes.
Yeah.
Send in knock-knock jokes.
If you have an idea for a pun, if you got a question, we'll answer your questions about anything. What's my favorite sandwich? You'll never know unless you voicemail us.
All right. Hey Tom.
Yeah.
Hey Tom. I got one for you. All right. What
Yeah?
did Batman say to Robin before Robin got out of the car?
I don't know. What did he say?
Find out next time!